Hi, Sarah. I found your posting really interesting and thought-provoking, and I'd like to push you a little bit on it. I'd like to suggest that you might try to integrate these various ideas. For example, in reference to Tim Allou's sculptural piece, which you mentioned, liking, how useful do you find Bonder, in particular, his notion of an ethics of deferral, in reference to the sculpture? Because, after all, Bonder is calling for us to try to step back from our desire to represent the pain of the other, to even speak for the other, while at the same time creating a space, a sort of performance and even political space in which the other can be invited to speak. And this is obviously challenging when the others or when the other or the others are dead. Uh, but does Alou try to do this? One thinks particularly not only of the whole sort of problem of interiority and exteriority that the piece explores, uh, but that's intensified by the murmurs. We hear that there are voices inside, presumably voices of those still trapped, or especially those who died trapped within the horror of the Sudanese civil war. But we can't distinguish what those voices are. We are called to be attentive. We are, in that sense, called to be witnesses in Bonder's sense. But he does not, the artist does not claim to speak for them per se, although we get many traces of this sort of through this contorted tree of life that is also bears the trace of military materiel. It's sort of a missile or an unexploded bomb or something like that as well. A tick that is ticking and demands that we be involved. So that seems extremely helpful. Uh, Secondly, in reference to Bart's use of the punctum, which, as you noted, Ellen Schatzsnyder brought in, what is your sense of what happens to the punctum, to the uncanny qualities, for example, of the intersecting lines of the gun and the wall itself in the photograph that Amal Bashar discusses? Uh, Once the photograph gets moved on by the young man onto his Facebook page, have all those disturbing features, as it were, of the punctum been eliminated by virtue of that repositioning in a Facebook, which celebrates a person's sort of identity and pride and all that? Does the punctum linger on, or is it, in a sense, not intrinsic to the image per se? This is not something that really Bart gets into, but you could develop. But does the punctum, in fact, get itself destabilized or sort of effaced with the repositioning in a social networking online space? Love to hear your thoughts on those ideas. Thanks.